William Ruto, please respect the people of Kenya. Don't talk about corruption again, because that is an insult. Because you are the one who is leading from the front. And you are the one who is setting the example to everybody. You are the one who has inducted members of parliament and senate into corruption.
Perhaps this is something you're saying now that you are outside of government, and that perhaps part of the proof of EACC and the DPP doing the will of the executive was in fact proven in your case. Mr. Gachagua, shortly after the Kenya Kwanza came into office, the charges against you were dropped. So some would say that this is indeed proof of exactly what you're saying, that the EACC
I don't know about the cases of other people.
And the DPP were done in your favor. And so you are in fact a beneficiary of the executive usurping the authorities of these independent constitutional bodies.
Not true.
So are you saying this now because you are out of government and not a beneficiary?
In my case, not true. Because, and I asked William Ruto, my brother, if the board of NHIF is saying they can reform this system at 800 million, why do we need a new system costing about 104 billion? He said, no, we will do it this way. This thing was forced. That's why you had an MP say, we pass SHA for you. This thing was pushed by William Ruto. This 104 billion, Yvonne, is pure theft of public funds. It's the biggest rip-off in the history of the independent Kenya. Aden Duale is telling us, an abusing journalist, Yvonne, that we have shut down the hospitals. How do you shut down hospitals that do not exist? Please, these people, the impunity, the kind of contempt they have for the people of Kenya. A minister telling the people of Kenya, they have discovered that money is being paid to non-existent hospitals, ghost hospitals. And his reply is that, no, we have shut down those hospitals. Where is the money?
39 days before the election, President Ruto, whom you served as running mate, promised the formation of a state capture inquiry in the country. You're on the record yourself as accusing former President Uhuru Kenyatta of state capture. This promise was made that it would be done within the first 30 days. You were DP within those 30 days. Those 30 days lapsed, and to date we still don't have a state capture inquiry.
It will not happen.
What changed yours and the President's mind on this?
Once we reached State House, William Ruto was no longer the same man we knew. The man changed. The man changed. And I can tell you for a fact, he changed. Before we were elected, he was in his home every week. Every week he was here taking tea up to midnight. Since he became president, he has never come back here. Even when we did not have issues for a year, we were quite free and friendly. He never came back here. He was too busy taking over and capturing the state. And when we get to the real business, I'll tell you how William Ruto has captured the state. So he could not agree to have a commission for state capture because he intended to do it himself. And he has perfected it and actually overdone it to a point that the country is almost crumbling, you know, to a point where now children cannot go to school because there is no money for capitation, to a point where people now are paying money to ghost hospitals, to a point where public money is being stolen and given to the deputy president to go and bribe people in broad daylight without being ashamed. You know what is shocking me, Yvonne, is impunity. You know, a president here is talking about corruption. His deputy every day is spending 10 million every day. You know, money that of course he has not earned, money that cannot come from his salary or his businesses, and everybody knows this is stolen money. And they are doing it with brazen impunity without caring what the people of Kenya are saying. So corruption has become a way of life. So I'm saying, William Ruto, please respect the people of Kenya. Don't talk about corruption again, because that is an insult. Because you are the one who is leading from the front. And you are the one who is setting the example to everybody. You are the one who has inducted members of parliament and senate into corruption. How can you then go ahead and condemn them that they are corrupt?
And you say the president is usurping the powers and the authority of bodies like the EACC and the DPP?
You saw the chairman of the EACC respond after the president spoke. That tells you if the chairman of EACC says the president has done well to allow us, it means then they are not independent. And if they allow, as they will, allow William Ruto to take over EACC and to take over the DPP office, what will happen is that we are going to see a lot of trumped-up charges against people who oppose William Ruto. Again, there is going to be a lot of blackmail to leaders to make political decisions.
Okay. I want to put it to you that perhaps this is something you're saying now that you are outside of government, and that perhaps part of the proof of EACC and the DPP doing the will of the executive was in fact proven in your case. Mr. Gachagua, shortly after the Kenya Kwanza came into office, the charges against you were dropped. The charges against then Cabinet Secretary in October 2022, Aisha Jumwa, there was a corruption case where she was accused allegedly of embezzling about 19 million shillings. There was charges against then Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi of attempted rape. All of those were dropped right after the election, right after you took office, right after assumption of office of these individuals. And so some would say that this is indeed proof of exactly what you're saying, that the EACC
I don't know about the cases of other people.
And the DPP were done in your favor. And so you are in fact a beneficiary of the executive usurping the authorities of these independent constitutional bodies.
Not true.
So are you saying this now because you are out of government and not a beneficiary?
In my case, not true, because what happened is that the fourth administration was doing what William Ruto is doing. Okay? It was using the criminal justice system to punish those who are opposed to it. The fourth administration was unhappy that I was supporting William Ruto. Yeah? And therefore, they brought charges against me, and there was no evidence. So once we came into office, the DPP got to the DCI to swear an affidavit. It's on record in court and said we had nothing against this man. We were told to prosecute him. We had no evidence. Even if that matter proceeded, it would still have been dismissed by the courts. Okay? What pains me, Yvonne, and I feel very sad, is at that time when we were being persecuted by the fourth administration, William Ruto saw that in his administration, never again will he allow the use of the criminal justice system to punish those opposed to him. Yeah? He gave that undertaking that he'll never allow. And politics will be done the conventional way, through persuasion and consensus and concurrence. The minute he became president, I don't know what happens to that state house. Somebody is elected, he's a good man. When he reaches there, sometimes I even get very worried of being elected president. Somebody who was a reasonable person, somebody who was saying great things, somebody who was sensible, somebody who was for the rule of law, he becomes president and becomes a monster. William Ruto gave us an undertaking, in private and in public, that under his watch, in his leadership, he will never allow the use of the criminal justice system to pursue politics. That's exactly what he's doing, And that's what I'm saying is, I don't believe he is the same person. Sometimes I think he's a double, because this man used to sit with me here with Pastor Dorcas, and we pray together. And the things he said he cannot do. Kwanza, he said in an interview, I will never allow anybody to punish my deputy. I will never allow anybody to lack respect for him. I will never allow anybody to do to my deputy what Uhuru Kenyatta has done to me. He not only did the same, but he went ahead to do what Uhuru Kenyatta never did to him, to pay people to throw him out of office. And this is the same man. So sometimes, I don't know whether he's the same person. Sometimes I get lost.
Why do you think, so you're saying the president punished you?
I'm saying what he had said he would never do. He not only did it, but went ahead to throw me out of office.
Why do you think he did that?
Because I could not agree to many things that he was doing. He had wanted a Mr. Yesa. He had wanted somebody to agree to corruption, somebody who can agree to killings of young people. I told him off. I told him no. And I said, I cannot agree.
All right, let's speak about some of the things that are in the country right now,
Yes.
and that you seemed to agree with. The Social Health Authority, SHA, something you were a big supporter of, then, now appears to be suffering a series of scandals. At least the Ministry of Health is defending itself, is defending its record, saying there is no fraud at the Social Health Authority. You sat there when this was being mooted. What was the proposal? And do you think, in hindsight, that
initially I supported.
Yeah. What was the idea that you supported?
We had committed.
Yeah.
We had committed in our manifesto to improve on NHIF and actually make it available to every Kenyan. And in fact, we promised to reduce the payments for ordinary people from 500 shillings to 300. We went ahead to promise that those who could not pay, who had no income at all, yeah, will be covered, by the fund without having to make any contribution. Those are the things that we did. So when we came in, we got the former CS for Roads, Kamau, to come and chair the board of NHIF. And he started on a process of how to reform it and make it better. And proposals were done, and it was agreed they needed to improve the system at a cost of about 800 million to make NHIF more responsive, to make it more efficient, to serve the people of Kenya. William Ruto put a team of advisors at State House who are working parallel from the ministers. And they came up with this thing called SHA. Yeah? And they said NHIF is bad, there was a lot of fraud, we must reform it and we must change it completely. And this thing was brought and we started interrogating it. Along the way, I started getting feelers that this thing was a scheme to rip off the people of Kenya. Yeah? And they proposed that we create a new system that will cost 104 billion Kenya shillings. And I asked William Ruto, my brother, if the board of NHIF is saying they can reform this system at 800 million, why do we need a new system costing about 104 billion? He said, no, we will do it this way. This thing was forced. That's why you had an MP say, we pass SHA for you. This thing was pushed by William Ruto. This 104 billion, Yvonne, is pure theft of public funds. It's the biggest rip-off in the history of the independent Kenya. This system does not exceed 1 billion shillings. 103 billion shillings had been stolen by William Ruto and company. And that is why it is him, because you had the MP saying, we passed you a SHA. Okay? And that is why he was saying when he was in Sagana, explaining why we differed. Oh, did you ever hear Rigathi defend the health system? Did you ever hear him defend the education system? Did you ever hear him talking about the housing program? I told him, give me a break. I cannot defend corruption. I said, Mr. President, excuse me, forgive me. I could not help you to defend SHA. This is outright theft of public funds. Now, after stealing 104 billion shillings from Duale and company now, the little money people have been deducted from their salaries, the little money that people are paying for SHA, this money they are sending to non-existent hospitals and stealing it. And this is the money that is doing empowerment programs by Mr. Soprano. This is the money that William Ruto is using to bribe people in State House. Where do you think this money is coming from? I heard him asking the governor of Mandera, not governor of Mandera. He was saying there is a governor who has paid 150 million. Where did he get it from? I want to pose you the question, Mr. William Ruto. This money you are bribing people, This one you have given Saparano to bribe people. Where are you getting it from? This is money for sure. Now, Aden Duale is telling us, an abusing journalist, Yvonne, that we have shut down the hospitals. How do you shut down hospitals that do not exist? Please, these people, the impunity, the kind of contempt they have for the people of Kenya. A minister telling the people of Kenya, they have discovered that money is being paid to non-existent hospitals, ghost hospitals. And his reply is that, no, we have shut down those hospitals. Where is the money? What measures has he announced today? If these hospitals were non-existent, if these hospitals were not compliant, and they have been shut because they are not compliant, has he announced how we shall recover this money? I would have expected William Ruto, the new champion of fighting corruption in Kenya, to talk about this. Instead, he's only talking about 10 million, and his complaint, it has not reached the MPs who are his friends. That is his only concern, that 10 million was bribed, it did not reach MPs. William Ruto, why are you not speaking about this 10 billion? By today, in a country of the rule of law, Duale should be at home. You know?
What for?
And we are saying,
what for?
He should have been sacked. This is a scandal of unknown magnitude. You have seen today the website for SHA, where the records were, showing who has been paid, has been stepped down, so that you people do not interrogate these hospitals. Because what would have happened? You people are very imaginative. With the list they are showing who has been paid, you would have sent your correspondents all over the country to see whether the hospitals exist. And because they don't exist, that is why they have removed, those details from the website, so that Kenyans do not interrogate, they do not audit the theft of public funds.
And then there is also the affordable housing, again, something else that you touted. In fact, you were on record as telling everybody that this is something that you should pay up. What changed along the way?
Initially, when I supported this program,
yes.
William Ruto is very convincing. He's a very convincing guy. And he's very deceptive. Extremely deceptive. He had convinced all of us that this housing program, affordable, was a good thing for Kenya. That it will create employment for our young people, that this program, we need slum upgrading, we need to dignify our people, blah, blah, blah. It sounded very nice. Only to realize later, it's nonsense.
At what point did you make this realization?
After one year. It's when I started seeing what's going on. To start with, when he forced people now to have the housing levy. Because the question people were asking me, and I went and asked him.
What was the idea for you in your mind with this?
Initially, we thought it's a genuine thing. Only to realize that it's about business. That William Ruto has seen a business opportunity to sell cement, to sell steel, and to sell iron sheets. Again, to partner with developers to make money. And for that program to succeed, it needed a source of money. So he had to create a housing levy so that the money is flowing. And this money has been put in Aden Bank, a bank that he bought immediately we came into office. Okay? Aden Bank is level 3, is tier 3. According to the central bank regulations, all money belonging to parastatals and governments must be put in tier 1. Tier 1 is Cooperative Bank, Equity, Barclays, those big banks. But he told central bank to allow Aden to receive money from SHA and also money from housing. So that bank has grown, from a profit of 300 million in 1 year to 1.2 billion.
So I want to understand this. You're saying, so at what point did you realize SHA, according to you, wasn't the idea that you needed?
The first 1 year.
Housing in the first
the
1
first
year.
1 year
Okay.
of our administration is where it started becoming very clear to me that this William Ruto was not a genuine man. He had conned us, he was deceptive, and he's a businessman, and he's not interested in the country.
And yet, Mr. Gachagua, you stayed and then got impeached, and it is only after your impeachment that you started to speak out about all of these things, about organizing meetings.
I spoke before.
So my question to you is, you say you are not a yes man, and that's why the president doesn't like you. Yes. You say you realized that, SHA and affordable housing had issues. with all of these. Were you ever going to say some of these things before you were impeached?
Yes.
Would you have continued to serve in the administration of President William Ruto? I asked you about some of these things a little earlier. You said, well, what could I do? He was president. You could have resigned, Mr. Gachagua, if you have such grave issues.
I couldn't have resigned.
Why not?
The framers of the 2010 Constitution are very wise. Why did they want a president and a deputy elected? So that they can check each other. That's what I was doing. I was checking from inside until a point he couldn't stand it. And he decided to get rid of me. What happened?
Mr. Gachagua, you were not very successful with checking him.
No, I was. Let me tell you. Let me now.
Well, tell us.
That's why. That's why. I went to cabinet and opposed the finance bill of 2024. I did.
2023.
2024.
Okay.
I said no, and it was put on record. And he was mad with me. And I went in public meetings asking the MPs to listen to the ground. It was a way of checking. Because when you are deputy president and there's a finance bill, and when people ask me, what do you think about this finance bill? I say, listen to the ground. The people did not want it. I told the MPs, listen to the ground. And the president was mad with me. Finally, when it came to cabinet, I went and opposed the demolitions and evictions of Nairobi River. If you remember, it was one of the charges in the Senate against me. I opposed when I was deputy president. I did not oppose when I left office, Yvonne. I opposed when I was in office. And it was a charge of insubordinating the president because of saying no. Our manifesto was clear that we shall never carry out demolitions and evictions until we have settled the people.
Okay.
When the Gen Z protests came, Yvonne, I want to put it on record so that we are speaking from the same page. I opposed abductions and killings. And when the president insisted, and our kids were shot and killed on June 25th, 2024, on the 26th of June, as deputy president, I called a press conference in Mombasa and castigated President William Ruto and the Director of National Intelligence Service for abductions and extrajudicial killings. I am not doing it because I'm outside, Yvonne. I was doing it from inside. And that is why the president now could not stand it anymore. In fact, it's after my press conference on June 26th is when he made a decision he must get rid of me. And it took him about 4 months. He started putting things into motion. And I told the president, I think it was on June 22nd, when I saw the operation order, what had been planned, the killings, the abductions, I went and I said, Mr. President, I am a parent, you are a parent. I have 2 young boys, you have young children. How can we kill these people simply because they are saying the finance bill is not acceptable? Why can't we listen to them? He said, my friend, you are in government, you do what we are saying. So the subsequent meeting for National Security Council, I was not invited because I would have opposed the operation. So when it happened, on June 25th, the president called a press conference at night. He did not invite me, and he said, this was treasonous, these are criminals, they'll pay for it. I was mad because I knew these children were innocent, and they were simply clamoring for their rights and the rights of the people of Kenya. And what happened, Yvonne, is that nature abhors vacuum. The minute the president captured parliament, the minute he compromised Raila Odinga, there was nobody else to speak for the people of Kenya. And since nature abhors vacuum, the Gen Z just came up, because that's the way nature operates, and they started speaking for the people of Kenya. So I made a decision. I flew to Mombasa. I called a press conference, and that marked the end of the relation between me and President William Ruto. We never spoke again. We just pretend we are speaking, but we never met one-to-one. We never spoke on telephone. We were speaking on messages until the day I left office. So you cannot say, Yvonne, that I spoke because I left. I started speaking. For 1 year, I was speaking from inside. And that's why he was accusing me. You know, he was telling me to defend Adani. I told him I will not. He says, go to the TV stations and defend the university model. I said, I will not, because the thing is not good. You know, I was in a funeral in Kitale, and the Senator for Kisii, Richard Oyonka, really attacked the government because of Adani. And I spoke last. I did not say anything. I talked about other things. I left. And the president's PA called me and called me all manner of names. Wewe ni mujinga sana, you are very stupid. You are deputy president, you spoke last. Somebody has attacked the government and you cannot defend. What kind of a deputy are you? I said, my friend, tell the president to call me and tell him I cannot defend corruption. Adani is corruption, I will not defend. Then he said, utatuona. The rest is history. Yvonne, I am a credible man, I'm a man of honor. And I was prepared to face the consequences of standing with what is right and what is true.